Hi everybody, I'm Tony Schaefer from What Drives Us, and this is one in a series of videos I'm making about hypermiling. From time to time it'll come up in online forums or in meetings with owners of hybrids and electric vehicles. Someone will ask the question, what's the best way to brake? Now the crux of their question is the understanding that there are multiple techniques and strategies around the simple process of braking. I mean, we tend to think that braking is simply pushing a pedal and the car comes to a stop. And in a way, that is the basic understanding of braking. But in this video, I want to talk about 3 different techniques around braking. I want to give, first of all, what I call the idiot driver disclosure, which is never sacrifice safety for mileage. If you do this, you're an idiot. Don't do that. Safety first. Everything I'm going to talk about in this video and all hypermiling videos have to do with ideal situations. You will have to take into consideration traffic and weather and everything else. And yes, from time to time, you'll have to compromise your mileage for the sake of safety. Always put safety above mileage. The second thing I want to make very clear is that this video is geared toward hybrids and electric vehicles. Basically, cars with batteries and electric motors. All right, we're going to be talking about regeneration. If your car doesn't have regenerative braking, this video isn't necessarily for you. However, you're probably going to want to watch another video about not braking at all. No spoilers, but that video is about not braking at all. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 types of braking. And these I call passive regenerative braking, active regenerative braking, and physical braking. Now, I'm sure there are more complicated ways of explaining these things, but this is not a complicated video, all right? You could go out and find details and technical, but yeah, I'm just not in the mood to get technical right now. So, passive, active, and physical. That's what we're going to talk about. So let's start with passive regenerative braking. Now, I'm sure everybody understands that the way electric vehicles work is that you push on the pedal and the big battery spins an electric motor which rotates the wheels. That's pretty much it. Battery, motor, wheels. What's lost on a lot of people is that when you let up on the accelerator, the wheels are now rotating the electric motor, and the motor is generating electricity and puts it back into the battery. Now, that's basic passive regenerative braking. But what's really neat is the electric motor creates resistance to the wheels, which causes the car to slow down. Now, some cars and manufacturers tune this so that there's more resistance, and the passive regenerative braking causes the car to slow down. Other manufacturers don't have it as aggressive, and you don't slow down as quickly, but you still have the resistance of the electric motor against the wheels, which causes the car to slow down. Now, you might be thinking, but that's not how this works. It's a one-way trip. The electricity goes from the battery to the motor to the wheels. It doesn't go backwards. But you have to think about windmills and hydroelectric dams. What happens there is the wind is spinning the blades are attached to an electric motor, and the motor is generating electricity. In hydroelectric dams, the water is funneled past turbines, and the turbines spin really fast, and that generates electricity. So it's a very tried and true method of capturing rotation and generating electricity with it. When applied to motor vehicles, it also helps slow the car down. So that's the first type of braking, passive regenerative braking, just simply letting off the accelerator and letting the electric motor put some resistance against the wheels, and as a side benefit, you're recapturing some energy and putting it back into the battery. Okay, now that you understand regenerative braking and passive regen, now we can move on to the next strategy, which is active regenerative braking. Now in this case, rather than leaving your feet completely off the pedals, you're going to apply light pressure to the brake pedal. Just a very light pressure to the brake pedal. Now, the car is programmed to apply more resistance to the electric motor. Now what that's going to do, that's twofold. That's going to put more resistance on the wheels. It's going to slow you down a little faster. It's also going to capture more energy from the electric motor, because the electric motor is now generating more electricity because of the added resistance. So this is still regenerative braking is just more aggressive than passive regen. All right, passive is when your feet are completely off the pedal. Active is when you're putting just a little bit of pressure on the brake pedal. And if you have a car that gives you the electric feedback that shows you how much energy is being used to push the car forward and how much energy is being captured when you apply the regen techniques, you'll see a big difference between passive regen and active regen. Okay, now those are the two types of regenerative braking. The third technique is physical braking. Now, physical braking kicks in with most hybrids and electric vehicles at very slow speeds, basically speeds when regeneration is no longer possible. It could be around 10 miles per hour or a little slower. And definitely you will use physical braking in emergency situations. Regardless of the speed that you're driving, if you stomp on the pedal, the car just assumes this is an emergency situation. It bypasses all regen and puts the brake pad to the rotor or the drum to the wheel and stops the car. Now in this case, there is usually no regenerative energy being captured. This is straight, like I said, pad to rotor contact, physical braking that everybody is familiar with. So those are the three types of braking strategies. There's the passive regeneration, active regeneration, and physical braking. Now that you understand the three types and strategies for braking, it should come as no surprise that the worst method of braking is physical braking. This is because it bypasses all regeneration. In fact, let's take it one step further. The absolute positively worst method of braking is waiting until the very last second and slamming on the brakes. Not only does that bypass the entire regeneration of energy, but it also puts a lot of faith in the physical brakes. Now granted, it is the 21st century and the brakes in advanced technology vehicles should be pretty good, but why test that theory? So what is the best method for braking? Well, at this point it should come as no surprise. It is a long, active regeneration. So let's say, for example, you're driving along and you see a green light and it just turns red. You know you're going to have to stop. You should put light pressure on the brake pedal. That will capture the most amount of energy, put it back into the battery. You can use that later to boost your mileage. Now, depending on how far away that red light is, you could let off the accelerator, capture some passive regeneration, let the car coast and slow down on its own, and then apply a little bit of pressure to the brake pedal and do some active regen until you do come to a complete stop. That actually is the best method for braking. So here's the problem. Most drivers don't drive hybrids or electric vehicles. They don't have regenerative braking. They don't even care one iota that you do. They only have physical braking, and most of them want to race to the red light and slam on the brakes anyway, because that's all they know. For this reason, when they're behind you and you're using passive regen to coast a little bit, and then you're using active regen to slow down slowly, and you're doing everything correct to get maximum mileage out of your vehicle, they are going to be sitting behind you very frustrated. And if possible, they'll even zip around you. I'm sorry, they will do that. This is where you have to take everything into consideration, all right? There's nothing good about having an angry driver behind you. So in the best situation, when you're all alone on the road, do the best that you can. Use that passive regen. Gain some active regen. But if you're in a busy traffic situation, there's somebody behind you and they just want to get somewhere, then take that into consideration. Be an empathetic driver. Do the best that you can without frustrating everybody around you. As always, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to watch more videos about hypermiling, be sure to visit the What Drives Us YouTube channel. This is where you'll find our weekly show, car reviews, and other things. We record our shows live almost every Wednesday night with a live chat room, and we'd love to have you in the chat room. If you want to be notified when the show starts, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Thanks again, and remember, I'm not asking you to drive less, just drive better.